everybody. I would like to call to order the town board meeting for October 9th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. As always, we are remote and live streaming virtually. If you're interested in joining us via Zoom, participate in the meeting, the instructions are at the top of each of our agendas. We're also streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and to our website. So I would like to ask Councilor Crystal to lead the resolution.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for everyone podium, we have Manlius.
Happy for all of you to follow along with some of the data that we talked about. No, I say you might.
Email it,
Oh, I'm going to email it.
but just for the money saving
Well, that's what I'm here about. So, my name is Matthew Denton. I'm Manlius resident. Councilors, as you continue to shape the 2025 budget, I want to take a moment to make sure that each of you are considering the needs of our community and the impact your decisions have on residents. The town board has full control of the general fund, or A fund as it's called in budget documents. Over the last 4 years, we have seen $1 million increases in expenditures in the A fund alone every single year. And the 2025 tentative budget proposed by the supervisor continues this trend. If you move ahead with the current proposed budget, the town board will increase A fund spending by over $5 million in 5 years. Prior to 2020, it took 5 years for the A fund to increase by $1 million. The yearly spending increases by the current board is not sustainable. These increases are not offset by ARPA or other revenue sources, but are paid for by increased property taxes on residents. My assessment, like the majority of residents, has grown in leaps and bounds the last 4 years, jumping from 256,000 to 377,000. I didn't manage to make 60% more revenue to go along with these changes, yet its increases means I am paying more income taxes without any change in services provided by the town. This is why year over year residents come before this board complaining about assessments. We know that an increase in assessments equals an increase in town taxes. Looking at the taxable value of the town, $2.7 billion in 2021 and $4 billion in 2024. You may try to make a case that the town is growing and the amount each resident is responsible for has increased. You couldn't be more wrong. Our town has seen an influx in development, has not seen an influx in development or businesses. This is the graph. And right. Increased assessments are the predominant driving factor in the town's taxable value. The town board is choosing year over year to increase taxes to match the increase in assessment, all without any investment in our community. No sidewalks, no parks, no facility improvements, or swimming pools. I asked every town councilor to look at this budget, not as a comparison to last year, but from the lens of how does this budget benefit residents. Ask yourself, how can we correct the excess spending that has gone on in the last 4 years? How can we decrease spending in the 2025 budget by $4 million? Please get spending under control so that our town has resources to invest back into our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for a question? Okay. So next up, Deputy Supervisor Bollinger will read our landing.
The town of Manlius has a rich history that we all work diligently to preserve and recognize every day. It is important for us to be fully considerate of those people originally living on this land, those who were removed by force to make way for others. We would like to officially acknowledge that we were on the traditional land of the Onondaga Nation, a member of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and honor their stewardship of the land. As we look to building our comprehensive plan, Manlius commits to learning the deep history of the land and its resources and ensuring indigenous voices are part of the conversation. We will be partnering with local organizations and activists to center these cultural traditions and knowledge. Lastly, we acknowledge that indigenous struggles are not only a part of the past, but also part of our present moment. The statement is meant to set us on a path forward rather than trying to write history.
Okay, so first up, we have our public hearing for the Fayetteville Fire contract. So we've got a presentation that I'm gonna share to the big screen in just a second. But I think normally we do the presentation now, right? Okay, Bill, you're up. If I can come, I'm just gonna kind of move through the slides, but you know, if you guys wanna come up or, I mean, do you guys wanna present anything as of, you know, anything new? Anything? Okay, great.
The slide, if you're going to the slide, and then if there's questions, we should do it.
So following in the footsteps of former Councilor Denton, we put together a slideshow that pretty well outlines the fire budget. So Fayetteville Fire Department provides fire rescue and EMS services to approximately 23,000 citizens over 18 square miles with an average on-scene time of just over 5 minutes. And so if you haven't seen it before, this is the map that shows essentially the entire fire protection district that the village of Fayetteville covers, as exactly the contract that we're gonna have a public hearing about. So you can see, I'm not gonna read through all the statistics, but the number of calls, you can see, annually, it does look like it's probably, it seems like it's ticking up, I'm sure it feels like it's ticking up. So 62 volunteers, 23 career firefighters, big thank you to everybody that does this hard work, on behalf of all the residents, within the protection district. And so you can see, the budgets remain relatively steady over the last few years. And with the 2024-2025 budget, we've got the numbers there broken out, and then you can see the split between the town of Manlius and the village of Fayetteville. As a good reminder when we look at these contracts is that within the fire protection district, the village of Fayetteville is about a third of the actual properties that are covered, which does mean that the town covers a larger share of the budget. And you can kind of just see the breakdowns here. You can see the split between fire and EMS. And then a little bit of a deep dive into operating expenses, capital expenses, the revenue, to give you that total operating budget. You can see, I think, we're pretty used to seeing the personnel be a large portion of that.
Right.
And then you can see all those operating expenses.
It's
Year over year, you can see that is a small decrease this year. We've got a slide in there with many of the firefighters as well as some of the equipment. And as always, call to volunteer with Fayetteville Fire and EMS. We've got the links there. So I encourage anyone who's watching along at home, if you're interested, please do reach out. I know the recruitment is constant, so. So that's fire budget. Does anybody have any questions while we've got Fayetteville here?
So I guess I would like to ask, if somebody could come up, because we have the microphone.
Oh.
So I'd like to ask you about the leasing arrangement that you have for the equipment. It looks like it's working to level off expenses. I just wanted to give you a chance to sort of describe what that program is.
So we took delivery a year ago, July. We did a 10-year turn-in lease. We did it with Manlius. So we saved a little bit of money doing it together. But more important for us is operational efficiencies, where you get on the scene, we have the same identical piece laid out the same. So the guys from both departments know where the pieces are, so you can get it quickly and all the stuff's good. So it's trained from one department to the other. So not only saving a little bit of money with the lease, but the operational part of it is the real savings for us.
So whichever truck gets there first.
Yeah, they're identical, so whatever one gets there first. And it helped us, we reduced our fleets a little bit. That saved a little bit, especially now, it's gonna save a lot of money because the price of apparatus is, we paid a little over $1 million for the ladder trucks. Before we left the floor, they're at 1.4. So the price is just going through the roof with all that
If
equipment
you can
now.
get them.
Yep.
Plus, by doing that, like you said, it did level off some of the expenses year to year as opposed to the ups and downs like we've experienced
And I
previously.
think that's
When
always
we've been here, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's always been the request, so I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate it.
Our capital plan's kind of flat, fixed rate every year and split between the village and the town, so there's
Yeah.
total transparency and the same fixed number there.
Yeah,
And we stay, whatever we buy, we stay within that capital line, so there's no peaks and valleys in it.
we appreciate that. That was one of the things we were.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you so much. So I make the motion to open the public hearing. Oh, wait the reading.
With the reading of the.
Oh, that was it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Now make a motion to open. I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Is anyone here to make a comment on the Fayetteville Fire Budget Contract? Okay, anybody joining us remotely, please use the raise hand function.
Motion to close the public.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Any last questions? For a motion to approve?
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2025 Fayetteville Fire Protection District contract for the calendar year 2025, the amount of $2,088,500.
Second. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Happy to let the residents of the Fayetteville Fire Protection District know they've got fire protection for another year.
As a pretty recent resident of the village of Fayetteville, I'm really happy to hear that. And that they were at my house.
Their services.
They came to my house last week or 2 weeks ago when I accidentally started my house on fire. Not on purpose.
Pizza Hut.
I put a pizza box in the oven to hide the pizza from the dog, and then I forgot about it 3 days later. We went to cook a frozen pizza, and then went upstairs and closed all our bedroom doors, so our whole house was smoke that we were oblivious. So, but Fayetteville Fire came and rescued us, and my house still smells like a match.
Okay, so next up, we've got Noah. You guys, do same thing? I like how I get to do all the talking. It's an honor. So Noah Fire Department provides fire rescue EMS services to 3,449 residents in the village of Manoa and a portion of the town of Manlius, totaling 11 houses. So you can see this district is much larger than just the village of Manoa. It covers a pretty large area across town, and same thing, it looks like calls are probably ticking up a little bit. I know we've experienced that over at the police department. 51 volunteers, EMS staff provided by Waves. A big thank you to everybody who does that hard work and keeps our residents safe. And you can see here the fairly steady decline. I know there was a little bit of a bump this year. I had some conversations about some of the capital expenses. I think there's some hiring processes going on. But you know, we're gonna see a reasonable increase this year. But again, you can see that split between the town and the village share, and that the town does take on the lion's share of that budget. And you can see operating expenses here. Again, given that it is a primarily volunteer force personnel, expenses are much lower, and you can kind of see a little bit more of all the pieces that go into that budget. And just operating expenses year over year. Then the ambulance budget, obviously it's a contract with Waves, so the majority of it is going there. I know I just had a conversation with the mayor and things seem to be going just fine with Waves. And then you can kind of see the total overall budget, 2020 or 21 to 22 to 22, 23. That's just so then kind of last year, 7% increase. See some beautiful pictures of all wonderful equipment. Of course, interested in volunteering, please do reach out to the NoahFire.org. So with that, anything like that? Yeah, just in case.
Ignore the top. We're
Yeah.
23.
And if anyone is, like, it's all on the agenda online, if we're going fast, you can follow along and, on your phone, if you just go to the town website.
was just from us paving station 2 this year.
That's the big increase.
You saw our budget, so next year that's gonna go right back down to where it was. It might go up a little bit for the cost of increase or whatnot, so.
But what you're saying is most of the increase this year is one time expense.
Yes.
Yep, perfect.
And that was in May, that's in May.
Yep.
And that is in stations too?
Yep, station 2, right, driveway.
So, now, so something that's labeled stations and it's
So-
labeled maintenance, I think.
Referring to the pie chart here, so we have maintenance and stations, and it does look like stations went up about the same as maintenance did.
So one of them is the paving at station 2, but something else.
And stations, does maintenance have?
If you add those two numbers together, that is that increase.
Okay.
That should be the.
So that was the one-time project,
Yep.
which is lovely.
Yeah.
Still waiting on the strike.
So that was the big project, and that was already, because your year is different from our year.
Yeah.
And that's done,
Yep,
and
it's
now
done.
it'll go back.
That just finished, 2 weeks ago.
Right, well, that is.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion to close the public hearing, or begin the public hearing. Wait, let's wait.
I was like.
And I will vote.
You gotta, no, you gotta, oh, yeah, okay.
I know you all those in favor.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion to open. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
That's why I let Sarah do it.
Yeah. Is anyone here to make your comments on the no fire contract? Well,
I don't have much of a comment, just really a question. Last year when the presentation was made by Noah, I don't recall who of you or if it was someone else made a comment that the number of volunteers had been a problem such that you may be going into more hired personnel. Is there any comment about that you could address? Is there a likelihood that there's going to be more people working paid staff?
Thank you. So, there's a microphone.
That is weird, so.
Yeah, so last year, I'll make sure I can address it. So last year, the comment portion and the presentation was actually given by the mayor. As you know, or as most in this service know, volunteers are never a guarantee. So I can tell you that I've got 51 volunteers this year. And next year you just don't know. It's an ebb and flow. I might have a great year of recruitment, or it may not be such a fruitful year. So right now, we do know that we have a lax in volunteers during the day, during the weekdays. We do have one full-time caretaker that takes care of normal station maintenance, takes care of meeting with folks, in regards to training. And then we've got a couple of part-timers that come in as well to supplement our volunteer staff. I'd love to say that we're gonna have plenty of volunteers this year, next year, and 10 years down the road. But unfortunately, it's just not one of those things that we can guarantee. So, we are always, I'm not much of a recruiter. I would like to spend more time, making the recruits that I have, volunteers that I have happy, and retain them the best I can. I'm a true believer that if I can retain folks, they're gonna do the recruiting for me. So if I can make them happy and they want to continue to come around, they continue wanting to come volunteer, that they're going to recruit for me. That has worked, so far since the village has brought me on board. I am up slightly as far as volunteers, but not obviously where I would like to be. I was a volunteer, same organization, been doing this for 36 years. When I first came in, we were looking at an department of 76 plus volunteers. The importance of mom and dad both being out of the household and off to work has certainly increased in that 36 years. So unfortunately, I'd love to tell you that we're gonna have An adequate number of volunteers, just an unknown number. Does that help, or doesn't answer your question, does it?
Well, the question really was, is you anticipate the need for hiring more permanent staff members, whatever.
So, the only way I would see that would occur is if, right now we have a relatively good working relationship with our ambulance service waves. They provide our EMS service. If I were to look into the future and see the 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, I would think that maybe a multi-service would make way more sense. More bang for your buck. Something similar to a Fayetteville or Manlius or a DeWitt. This is a part-time position for me. I work for the county. I know a lot of departments around that are steering their way away from a 100% volunteer force. For the folks that are on Facebook, if you were to look just a little bit east of us, over the Syracuse area, they just started a brand new full-time fire chief over there. So some of these traditional houses that have been volunteer for hundreds of years have recognized that there needs to be more consistency. I think that's what the village had done with me. And I think it's East Syracuse is coming. Myself, the mayor, and the fire commissioner have went and taken our little song on the road. We and asked to talk to Syracuse. We did go and speak to the village of East Syracuse before they hired. We've been asked to speak at Annandale. So all these agencies that have this tradition of 100% volunteer organization, it's, I don't want to say it's coming to an end. I like to think that the NOAA right now is 30 years behind DeWitt, which started the process of career staff, and 20 years behind Fayetteville, and 10 years behind Manlius. And I think that what I'm trying to do with the mayor and the fire commissioner is put the NOAA in the right spot for 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road, no matter who's in that position. Let's make it a difference.
Thank you, sir.
Probably not the best answer to be able to.
Just curious.
Very good.
Thank you.
Supervisor?
Hey, why don't you come grab a seat, because I know you've got a question.
Yeah,
Join us for today.
I just had a quick question. I just want to confirm, is EMS run out of station 2 or station 1?
Station 1 mainly, but we also have a regular standby station.
Okay, excellent. The reason I asked that is that I noticed, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but station 2, we pay full from the town, right? Like any improvements to station 2 is considered.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to confirm that we're running services out of station 2 that are used across the entire district. I was curious why it's paid for only by the town. This is more just a general.
Improvements are not all funded by the town.
Yeah, that's why I don't know.
Well, for instance, they just had a paving project, we can pay for paving.
We're paying it.
Yeah, we paid our shares.
Yeah, it's paying, it's because of,
Well, yeah, it's incorporated.
yeah, because when you go to the previous slide that showed the changes over here in the village versus town, there was a bigger increase in town versus village. So that's it. Just was curious how that. So, thanks.
Any other comments? Anyone in virtual attendance, please use the raise hand function. Sarah, motion to close.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So I would entertain a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to authorize supervisor to sign the 2025 Mental Fire Protection District contract for the calendar year 2025 in the amount of $1,539,307.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries, thank you very much. So, next up, we have Manlius. So, Manlius Fire Department, provides fire, EMS services to the Manlius, town of Manlius, and as well as town of Pompey. Covers approximately 27 square miles of both residential, commercial, and agricultural projects. There. So again, you can see the district is much larger than just the village itself. And it does go into Pompey down there. So the numbers tend to be a little bit more complicated because we've got 3 different parties that are all weighing in on this. You can see the calls for the year here on the left side. 75 volunteers, 12 career, thank you to everyone that does that work, which are resident safe. And here again, you can see the steady increase, and you can see the breakdown by town of Manlius, town of Pompey, and village of Manlius. Just a summary again, personnel, large part of that. And then the year-over-year changes. So we're looking at 9.16% increase. Looks very easy to see that a lot of it is coming out of personnel. Then you can see the total for EMS. Again, the personnel being the largest. And year over year, again, seems to be the majority of that increase is coming from personnel. And actually, capital expenses have gone down quite a bit from last year. Equipment. And of course, if you're interested, please volunteer for Manlius Fire EMS and Manlius Fire Dock. Okay. I don't believe so.
So I have a question, I don't know if you have the answer. Do you know, are there more paid staff than there have been in prior years? Has there been a reduction in volunteers?
I don't know that.
So Sarah and I met with the chief and the mayor earlier in the year, and we did add additional EMS staff, and we did have a plan to add a few more, but whatever number they.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, you may know, I think they did that.
Yeah, who they hired.
For waiting on that vote.
I mean, most to wait.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
We go into open.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Any comments on the Manlius Fire contract budget?
We can go, really good. Any edge of time?
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, so I just have one comment to make. I'm just gonna say I was pleasantly surprised to see that the cooperation between the Manlius expansion there, you know, is managing the budgets, it's having capital improvements as well as operational improvements. And I would like to see that expanded and have a joint fire district across the town, so that way we can continue those across everyone in the town. Thank you.
We don't.
Basically.
Yeah. It's not really a.
I know we can.
Yeah, it's like not a town board issue.
Right.
Okay, any other comments?
So Matthew, you could tell the villagers that we can.
Well, you can work with the village.
Yeah, I think, if you were interested in seeing Manlius, be able to do that. I think if you wanted to see that happen. Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I don't know, sometimes I don't know.
Okay. Anything else to close?
Make a motion to open the meeting.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Very much approved.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the 2025 Manlius Fire Protection District contract for the calendar year of 2025 in the amount of $1,846,022.73.
Is it 220 or is it probably?
$220.73.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have fire protection, for the vast majority of our residents. Thank you very much for being
And
here.
just to explain to anybody who let you know there's a fourth fire district, which is Kirkville. They are a true fire district, so they don't have to do this process. They have a different process, which they do in the center.
Okay, next up. Would you like to share your resolution?
Yes, so we have a resolution which supports age-friendly practices and policies. So this is a part of the AARP program, which is built off of some World Health Organization research. It allows us to share best practices, to learn from other communities, and also to tap into resources. So there are 8 domains of livability that they have defined. It includes outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation, housing, having a wide variety of options, social participation, respect and social inclusion, civic participation, paid and volunteer employment, communication, information, and community support and health services. So what I've been hearing from residents so far is a desire to have more housing options that would allow them to downsize when they retire, but still stay in community. And I've also heard comments about having more transportation options so that they can get to the senior centers more easily. So those are some of the things that we'll look at addressing. If people want to share comments with me or want to be part of the community that works on this, you can email me at igonzalez-mccurdy@townofmanlius.org, or you can check the website for the spellings, because I know that's a little challenging. So the average life expectancy in 1950 was 68, it's now 78. And there's a lot of interesting research about social isolation is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So we want to ensure that everyone can live their best lives in our community. And so we have this resolution that states that be it further resolved and ordered that the town of Manlius is committed to promoting and expanding age-friendly policies and programs in the town of Manlius. So I'll make I'm making a motion to approve the resolution as cited. Thank you, sir.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
This one is consistent with the contract.
Yes.
And, this is, I think, I know we had a conversation before about a committee, and I think what this is gonna do, because we've had some conversations recently about, especially following the pandemic, how the town plays a role in helping our senior population. And I think this is gonna be able to create a new kind of capacity to address this, a little crowdsource a little bit, and I'm very excited to see. I know we already talked about possibly partnering with nonprofits for senior housing, putting together informational templates, transportation. There's a lot of really good things that are here.
So one quick thing that I wanted to share is that there's a program that's offered through the Office for the Aging, the county office, called Go Grandparent. And it will provide 2 round-trip rides per month at no cost. And so the state has funded that program, allocated that to county offices. So if someone is interested in that, they can contact the Onondaga County Office for the Aging, or they can reach out to me and I can share that info out. So that's one resource that is time limited, but it is available now. It's funded this year.
And the age-friendly community also complements the pro-housing community that we're planning to do, granted to the other life program in February.
Yeah, very much so.
Also leads into our next agenda topic, is that when we are granted pro-housing community status, it will give us a preference for this.
Okay, so we have a resolution prepared here for a New Forward application. We were approached by members of the community that are interested in moving forward a project. So while we had looked at the New Forward Downtown Revitalization Initiative Program, earlier, with some folks that we have, working with us at Bella. We tried to put a package together that we thought was gonna be successful. Upon further inspection, we were given the advice that it really wasn't where it needed to be. But like I said, we were approached recently, so we're gonna, I'm hoping that we can improve this resolution, so that we can get that application in and also start us on that cycle of applying for that every year. And hopefully next year we'll have a much bigger, application together, so, any questions?
Motion to approve the resolution granting authorization to submit a request for funding under the New York Forward Downtown Revitalization Initiative Program.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next up, Councilor Saliano.
So, this has been going on for a while now. Now we're at the collaboration phase. The tree commission applied for a grant with the DEC to do a tree inventory in our town, and we were awarded it back in 2023. We were awarded $75,000. Now, like I said, we're in the collaboration phase, which means we have to review our contract and approve it, send it back to the DEC, DEC will review it and approve it, send it off to the comptroller, who will then review it and approve it, send it back to the DEC, who will review it, approve it again, and then send it back to us for a final sign off. For both have fully executed contracts, so then we can start drawing on that grant of $75,000 and we begin our moving forward with our tree inventory. So right now, we're at the point where we're just authorizing the town supervisor to do that first initial approval, the review of that contract. So it's for level of the contract or number of jobs. And I have any questions on it first before we go to it.
And this is gonna pay the contractor.
Yes, yes. Yes, Davey is we're gonna be using, they're also gonna be doing the tree inventory in the village of Fayetteville as well, so it's gonna work out nicely because there's gonna be a little bit of cost savings, so they're gonna be doing it hopefully at the same time as they're doing the village of Fayetteville and Tommy illnesses. Hopefully, this whole process moving forward, things move slowly, when there's so many hands that this has to go through. So yes, we're gonna be using the, we're having to have this at the same time as the village of Fayetteville. Any questions? Okay, so
you have any motion on this?
yes. So with that, I will take a motion to authorize the supervisor to approve in SFS contract number DEC 01-UC F1-2023. Pending and review.
Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So I am happy to start that ping pong process. We'll get that signed and get that.
You might wanna like have a flow chart on your wall.
So if you go also, there's also insurance and
Yeah.
WB stuff like that, but we haven't seen that. We will.
So next up, we've got in front of us is a contract with Manlius Global Consulting for training, specifically with our police department. This is following kind of a trend of trying to find interesting new ways to bring the training that we want our police department to have. And so I know last year we brought Dr. Pearson in, that was really well received. And so this is us, we're trying to make sure that this is something that's new and it's fresh and it's relevant. This one especially is going to focus on equity, and understanding how our police department can do their mission while being mindful of the diversity within our community and respectful of that person. And then also too, new this year, we're gonna, the town is gonna be covering some expense of this, because we're gonna be asking our department heads, and anyone else that's available to attend the second training. That'll be October 23rd. And so one of the reasons we're doing it not only is that they get the benefit of the training, but this is the type of training that we would be interested in having for all town hall staff and also possibly highway staff. And so I asked the department heads to join, so that we can kind of see what does it look like in the tailor to police officers, and then what is that feedback, so we can develop a program for next year, either within the town hall and maybe even out of it. So That's where you'll see the cost is split a little bit. I believe it's 2/3 coming from the police department and 1/3 coming from the town, from the. We're gonna be pulling it from, kind of all the different seminar conferences lines that have got remaining ones. Any questions on that? Yes.
Has the attorney, how can you review this contract?
I have done a cursory review of it, I looked at it. I mean, there's some minor changes I would probably make to it, but substantively, I think it's okay.
You talk about the indemnification for contract for the changes.
Yeah, that's one of them, probably fees, too, I would change the fee structure a little bit, so. I mean, if we want to prove tonight, subject to revisions being made by the it's fine, there are a few provisions that.
And then I have another question to our resolution says we're approving, we just signed this for $7,750, but it's a base of $15,500.
Oh, I see.
That should have due within 7 days.
So then it's 2 installments?
Yeah.
So we're having to change the warnings, or are we supposed to come back and approve it?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should.
That much be the total.
Yeah, which is 15,500.
The agreement says,
Yeah, it doesn't know that, they're taking.
that doesn't have a second.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at that, we'll get that adjusted for approval, are we comfortable with that?
That's what we're sure, like, you don't have to come back and
Yeah.
say.
No.
So you're gonna have a special board meeting for that.
So then, the motion as prepared is amended to read $15,500 and then, pending.
And revisions, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. So motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the consulting agreement with Manlius Group Consulting LLC in the amount of $15,500 pending attorney review and revisions.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So, next up, we have our snow shoveling contract, very interesting, exciting stuff. I will say, we're very happy, we were able to find another vendor to provide this service, which they will also offer extended hours through the end of our workday, and a special carve out for board meeting nights and board nights. So this is, I will say, for a while, we're not able to find anybody to provide a service like this.
I do recall you shoveling.
I recall many town staff shovel. I shovel plenty, but it's the fact that we've got, town staff out there shoveling for a fortnight. It's, something that we really need to address. And thank you to Comptroller Maria for reaching out and finding some of these folks. The expanded service here is, I think, going to be really helpful. So, any questions on this? And also, I think the cost is the same or.
So it's the same as Aspinall's for last year.
Yeah, so it's the same cost as last year. Now, it's the same cost per visit, but we will likely see more visits. So that'll be something that we address in the budget as we prepare.
When you say board meetings, is it just our board meetings or is that for planning board?
So we were gonna work on that to make sure that they know that we have an understanding that it's any of the board meetings. Basically, if we are keeping town hall open for something after hours, we really do need to provide shoveling. I mean, we've had some board meetings where we have had an issue with snow during the meeting.
So it'll cover the tree meetings or if we have any other.
Yeah, but it probably is.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be part of that conversation as the budget is how
That
many.
would be 3 or 4 nights a week.
If you reserve, if this room is reserved for a meeting, don't have it on the calendar, and then we'll know it's see if it's not.
Right, because then we don't want to just have them just us, so we want to consider it.
Yeah, I just wanna, just look aware of how much the finances could accumulate.
Yeah.
So much like the snow, right, but we're also not just for us, so this year.
Is there a seasonal price option?
Is there what?
Was there a seasonal price option?
This is what, this one covers the, from basically now.
Well, I didn't know that I was like, oh, like, okay, it's 20 time or eligible.
Yeah.
No. And I think especially because we are adding extra provisions for that it's gonna be visit based. And so that really what we're gonna do is probably talk Rob and try to figure out, for the months that it does snow, how many meetings do we have and the odds of it snowing. So, it may be, we budget for 3 extra snow shovelings a month for 5 or 6 months, something like that. That's how we do it.
And I did have Rob look at it, like, on Tuesday, and he said it was a fair price.
Yeah.
Great.
Motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the acceptance of proposal for Keystone and Under here for snow removal from sidewalks for the 2024-2025 season in the amount of $180.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next up, we do have, board of assessment members on here. I do want to table that as, a little discussion with the assessor, and I don't know exactly what our plans to be moving forward. But we did have 2 applicants, one, who's currently on the board and one who's not currently on the board. So we're gonna be kind of trying to see if there's a way that we can leverage both in our program. So, and then following that, planning board and zoning board of appeals. These are our boards. Planning board is 7 members for a 7-year term. Zoning board of appeals is 5 members with a 5-year term. We committed last year to getting the notification about these openings out a little sooner. I will tell you, there have been many, late December where we're doing interviews very quickly before our last meeting. So our hope is we're gonna put this out, we're gonna publicize it, it'll be out there for at least a month. We'll be able to take in all those resumes, get the interviews done in a timely fashion. And I will say specifically for the planning board, after talking with the chair, we have the ability to, I wanna say, they're not backup members, there's a name for it.
Alternates?
Alternates, yes. So we are gonna be looking at doing that, because on average, we're short usually about a planning board member per meeting. And I know this is, the planning board is definitely a place we've seen a lot of interest. And so these alternates will essentially just be there to say, they'll get a call, probably on Friday, hey, this person's not gonna be there, can you make it to the meeting, get up to speed and weigh in on the process. So a little bit of a farm team for the planning board, but also to make sure that we've got a full set of member boards on the process.
Will they be able to get up to speed in preparation for a meeting? Like, what if someone like calls it that morning, like, do they
Well,
be able to be prepared to go?
Depending on how many members, yeah, well, yeah, so they'll receive a package just like everybody else, they'll be part of any of that informational stuff that happens. They're a functioning member of the planning board, so that they are. So as soon as someone's not available, they swap in and they should be, the intent is they've read the materials, they're ready to participate.
Are we seeing often with the planning board meetings that we don't have a full board? Is that-
I was talking to the chair today, and it's probably about every, we're missing half a member on average. So, there's at least one vacancy each month for the 2 meetings. And then also too, it's gotten a little harder as we get towards the holidays and everything. So, and this is something that we can try. So we'll see how it works, find out if, these extra people aren't needed. I do believe we will appoint for 7 terms. But, we don't have to appoint, 6 long.
Does everyone get paid the same?
That'll be a conversation we have to have with somebody. I think more than likely we'll need a separate line for, because even just, like training, they're gonna have to go to the training, they're gonna need their hours and everything like that, so there will be.
Yeah, and then do we pay them just to go, or do we pay them like, stand for that?
That's something we're gonna have a conversation.
Probably, we can expect them to be doing the work and the training is maybe a little enough, and then eventually go to the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it.
So, let's see, so today is October 9th, so let's go ahead and say that for the deadline for both the planning board and zoning board of appeals applications, we'd like to see those by end of business, 4:30 PM on, November 6th, which is our second town board meeting from now. And like I said, that'll give us time to reach out, schedule interviews and get everything going.
And then that's for all 3 boards?
So that is just for the planning board and the zoning board of appeals. The board of assessment has come and gone, and like, we have 2 applicants, and we're just trying to figure out how.
What was the date you said?
Okay. Next up, so due to a couple things that came up, the supervisor's report was delayed. So we put it on the agenda as a table, something we're gonna try to do more often when we have these kind of last minute things that aren't, there's not a deadline, but we still wanna be able to talk about it and, make sure everybody has an opportunity to see it. So that report's there, but we're gonna go ahead and table that for our next meeting. Before we get into the approval of minutes, actually, we have our liability insurance that we want to, is that something we can move to executive session for to discuss? Is it, is it not, we can have a conversation.
Is it the contract that we're?
Yeah.
Is it an imminent contract that we're having? Okay, then yes.
So just before we do minutes and abstract, so we've got the liability insurance that I sent out to everybody. We can have a conversation, there's some sensitive information pertaining to employment matters and other things, so, that'll be something we do in executive session, we come out and then adopt that as we need liability
I do have a couple announcements for you.
insurance. No problem.
So I would like to announce two community meetings. These are both related to a special district, so the people invited to them are really people around that special district, but they are public meetings. I want people to be aware of them. On Wednesday, the 16th of October, we're having a meeting with the Sky Ridge Water Supply District, which will be here. And that will be to understand the water supply district renovation that's being planned for them. And the following day, on October 17th, there's a meeting with the Enders Road Sidewalk District that will be at Enders Road School. And that meeting is to discuss the possibility of forming a sidewalk district relative to Enders Road.
Is that an equal vote in the LGR?
Yes, is it equal?
You said it.
Okay,
And he's the Enders Road project at Eagle.
at Eagle Hill School in the LGR, which large reconstruction. So it will be there, and that is open to anybody who lives in the Enders Road neighborhood.
So, minutes.
So who has to do minutes?
Introduce the meeting minutes from September 25th, 2024.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
I
And Mike was second.
Yeah, thank you.
Abstract.
Okay, so a couple of winners on the abstract, I wanted to point out that we did include the first payment on the cold storage building at the highway garage, and also a payment to the architect who is working on the possible renovation of this building as being a component of our overall capital plan. And we also had some vehicle repairs. So those are the biggies. So that I would like to make a motion to approve abstract number 19 in the amount of $434,624,30
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, with that, for a motion to enter executive session to discuss a meeting.
So
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Supervisor.
Organizational meeting.
Alright, we're back.
But it carried over for like 1 or 2 meetings after that, you remember?
No,
No,
Yeah.
no.
we all,
I'm
we
sorry, I think we
typically
did.
make the motions for our,
Maybe
Yeah,
it's just the.
Just like, certain, like, we kind of follow that lead of like, okay, well.
We have,
Required. I'm
yeah.
treating it
Okay, that's
that
had to be
way.
what it was.
we have now come out of executive
Do
session,
that.
and I look to Deputy Supervisor Bollinger for a motion.
So this is regarding liability insurance for the town for the year October 2024 to October 2025. I'll make a motion to accept the insurance proposal and authorize the supervisor to sign the binding documents subject to legal.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. So with that, any last pieces where we're gonna go? I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Wow.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Have a good night.